Ready?
Okay.
How am I going now?
You're on.
I'm on already? Hi, everybody. So, first I'm going to apologize for the menu change tonight, but enough people kept talking about the potatoes and how the different uses for it, and I decided to not let them sit in the refrigerator more than one night and decided to cook them up, and we're making shepherd's pie tonight. So, hi, shepherd's pie. I promise I'll do no bakes, like you can do it Saturday, Sunday, whatever you want. So what I'd already started, first of all, here's the potatoes on boil, and all I did was I took the water out of them that was in the refrigerator and I put a new batch of clean water in it, stuck them in here, and when they started to boil, and only when they started to boil, I added a generous amount of salt. You never add salt to water that's not boiling because all it does is go to the bottom of the pan and doesn't get used correctly. So when the water was boiling for the potatoes, I added salt and I'm just letting them go. They're almost ready so that we can start making the mashed potatoes. Over here in this frying pan, come on over here, I had onions that I cut like we did the other night, but then I went further. Instead of in the rounds, I just broke them up into shards and pieces, see? And mushrooms. And mushrooms, aha, you must ask yourself, how does she have mushrooms right now when I haven't been to a grocery store in 3 or 4 weeks? Because when this all started, I saw what was going on and I grabbed a couple of cans of these. I did hoard a few cans of mushrooms. I have not hoarded any toilet paper, but I did get a couple of cans of mushrooms because I love mushrooms and onions and stuff, and this is the only way I can get it. There's no way any fresh mushrooms would have made it lasting to now. So that's my secret for today is the canned mushrooms, and they're just as good. I've tried a couple different ones, and those Hannaford brands or the Walmart brand are amazing. You can hear what's going on here. This is where the hamburger's going to go in a minute. I do not put my garlic in right off because garlic can burn. So I wait until these are like almost exactly done, and then I throw, see, just you can see I just use the end of the, look and see how much is in there. I just use the end of the knife to throw some generous garlic in there. And that's, and what they're cooking in, by the way, I did not use butter tonight because I'm making a beef shepherd's pie. I used, yes, I'm a farm girl. I keep in the refrigerator my grease that comes from side pork, bacon, anything like that. I always keep it, I use it for this occasion. So now it's time to put our hamburger in there. You can see how it's a golden brown for my onions and my mushrooms. They're really good. And before the garlic starts to singe or burn, now let's get our hamburger in there. The thing about shepherd's pie is you can use anything. You can use turkey burger, you can use venison. I'm using hamburger here, a regular beef hamburger, and I'm just putting it in there.
Pretty sure you're not allowed to use turkey burgers.
Turkey burger, for you I would never do it because, like, I know you wouldn't eat it. But other people like it. Other people totally like it, and so that's why I'm mentioning that you can do that because other people definitely love it. And this is only going to take a minute to get browned up. So I haven't added any more of the grease in yet, but I might need to because this is our own stuff that we buy from Bob DeSorcy. We buy all of our beef from Bob DeSorcy's Bob's Meat Market in St. Albans. We buy a cow at a time and a pig at a time, and he cuts it all up for so much a pound. And it, like last time we paid, I think, $3.99 a pound for the cow and $2.99 a pound for the pig. And you can't buy the steaks for that, let alone the hamburger in the store. So I just want to wash my hands a little here because, you know, I was just touching beef there. So anyways, that's what we do. But you can put anything in here, but it's not greasy because it comes from Bob's Meat Market. Another good market that has beef like this at pretty reasonable prices, but I don't know if he does whole animals like Bob does. I know that DeSorcy's in Highgate does as well. My mother goes there all the time. So as you can see, this is already cooking really fast, and I haven't added any more oil to it. I like that I broke it up with this. Chops it up really cool. That's the potato masher. And as you can see, our potatoes are just about to, and we talked about being fork ready the other day. See, my fork just went straight through it. And yeah, our potatoes are done. So I'll turn that down a little bit so I don't have to feel like I'm hovering over it. These are ready, but I'm going to let them sit on simmer for a minute just so I can get this part done. Because I like to have this part in the pan over there, and then I put my potatoes right on. My oven is on 375, already getting warm. Oh yes, I'll plug out as well to Shyla Boomhauer at Quimby Hill Designs. My cousin Lisa said to me, the only thing you're missing while you're doing all your cooking videos is a glass of wine. Well, I'm not a big wine drinker, and when I do drink it, I'm really kind of picky about what I choose. So this is actually Di Serrano on the rocks because it's my favorite thing. And as you can see, so plug out to Quimby Hill Designs there, Shyla Boomhauer, owner and absolute only design person there. Yeah, that's holding my, so I'm like, okay, this is for you, Lisa. I won't do this every night, but this is for you tonight. So while this is cooking down, I wanted to mention a couple of different versions of shepherd's pie. We already mentioned that you can do a couple of different meats. You can do turkey burgers. Tim's making the face again, but you can do venison, definitely beef. I love the stuff I get from Bob Provazzi's because there's like you can see, look, there's no grease in here. I'm not going to have to. If you're getting your beef from the store, like 70%, 80%, 90%, you still have to take the grease off or the oil off after when this is done. And you can see there's like going to be next to nothing left in here. So I'm going to be very little having to get this out of here. But I wanted to mention a couple of different ways. Shepherd's pie is a loose term. People make it in so many different ways. I'm going to mention 2 or 3 right here today. I do mine with corn. Corn, potatoes, hamburger, basic, my favorite, mashed potatoes. But I've seen, and I never knew this happened until I grew up, left my parents' home because I never had it any other way, and started going to like church dinners and socials and eating at friends' houses and stuff. And that's when I realized that one of the favorites people love is to do it with beef. So if you want to pan down here and see what I'm looking at, there's a couple of different ways to do it. People love to do, I don't know what it's about, but they love to do green beans. And of course, we don't have any fresh stuff right now, so we're using things that's in the counter on our shelves. And if you don't have any way, like I would have done the hamburger, would have reserved what was left of the grease, and then probably added more like this. And I would have, and I will make this for you another day if you like, I would have used flour as a leavening and then water, and I would have made what my mom calls scorched gravy. And that's just literally from grease and flour and salt and pepper, and I always a dab of garlic salt, you know, powder, I mean, not salt. And I make scorched gravy with the hamburger, whatever meat you're using. And then it has a beef, like a beef gravy. It is a beef gravy when you're done. Sorry about that. And then I always put this, my mom used this when I was a kid, and here I am all these years later, and I'm still using the Gravy Master. A few drops of this makes it turn a darker brown and has a great flavor, and it's not too salty. So that's how you can make a scorched gravy. You use whatever drippings you have left. You don't throw them away. And you come up with some more of them, like, here's my cup. You come up with more until you make enough where you could put your flour in it, and it starts to clump together. And when it clumps together, and of course you're using one of these, when it comes together, that's when you start putting your water in it and you keep it moving. It's the same as when you're making pork sausage and gravy, which is on the list to be done here someday as well. So you'll learn that technique a little down the road, just with sausage instead of beef. So this is all cooked. And since I'm not going to do the beef part, which a lot of people do, and another way they like it is instead of just one vegetable, like I've got corn I love, or beans, people love to do the mixed vegetables. So here you are in your freezer with a bag of mixed vegetables. Just kind of steam them or boil them just enough to bring them back to life, and then add them to your dish like you would the other ones. So that's a couple of different versions, and I know everybody has so many different versions of this. People are you say shepherd's pie, and you sit down at their table, and sometimes you have no idea what version you're going to get. And each time shepherd's pie is one of those personal ones. You make it a certain way. Your mom's made it a certain way, and that's the way I am. My mom made it this way with corn. I'm going to fork test these one more time to make sure I'm all right. I did, yep, okay. So these are the potatoes that we had last night. That we, oh, there's some skin I left on one. I'm going to add it to here. These are the ones we had cooked with the potato skins. We cooked them on the side. So now we're going to do our mashed potatoes. And a lot of people, not a lot of people, some people really don't know how to make mashed potatoes. Some people just use the box version. And so I'm going to show you how tonight. Water comes out. Make sure you get it all out, because the one thing about mashed potatoes is the water, it makes them taste horrible. You have to make sure that they drain thoroughly, because it's milk that you want. Milk and butter, not water. Contrary to, I think, I've never made one of those box things. I don't know if it takes water or milk. I have no idea. I'm going to push this back so that it doesn't get singed too much. As you can see how quickly, what did that take? 5 minutes to make that the right. So now here we go. Literally, this is all you're going to do. Push them down a little bit just to get it going. And you can hear, who is that? It's Rufus. A little salt. Here's funny, because we were going to do cookies tonight, and baking is a science. With baking, you have to measure. You definitely have to measure. It's a science, and if you want your cake to rise, if you want your cookies to be right, you've got to know the ingredients, and you got to know the measurements of them. Cooking, it's a taste thing. It's a, oh, I always like it with this much or that much in it. So I'm never, unless it's a new recipe I'm trying, I never do any measuring. And then once I've tried that new recipe, I'm so funny, because I make it the first time pure, like the recipe says, and then I'm like, oh, you know, if you added this or that, that would make that so much better, or change it. So cooking, I'm so loosey-goosey. But when it comes to baking, and we will be baking tomorrow night for somebody special's birthday. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Tim's. And I haven't had any votes yet on cakes, just two of them, two people that absolutely know what Tim's favorite is, so it wasn't fair. But I haven't heard from everybody else what they'd like for cakes tomorrow. So it sounds like we're probably going to do chocolate, because that's what Tim ended up saying. Let's just do a chocolate. I have that maple frosting I made a couple nights ago. And my maple frosting, as you can see, I'm just throwing globs of butter in. That's kind of how I do it. My maple frosting did not separate. It stayed perfect. So that meant we cooked it right. We got it at the right temperature. We beat it correctly, because it did not separate at all. And so we're going to pull that out tomorrow night, and we're going to put it on the cake. So I'm pretty excited. All right, so there you go. I just put it, and put not a ton of milk in, because if you put milk in here and it becomes soupy, then you're going to be seriously disappointed. Start with a little. You can always add more, but you can never take out. That simple. And there you are. I'll just check the consistency of it. Some people, I don't like mine super dry, but I don't like them wet at all either. And those are actually perfect, so we got it right the first pass. Oh, shout out to Danielle, by the way. Shout out to my daughter Danielle. So, she was telling me how she talked to me this morning first thing. Oh, Mom, guess what? I was running out of butter and I didn't want to go to the store again. Guess what I did? I was like, what? She said, I made homemade butter. I was like, oh, jelly. I'm jelly. I want to know how. Show me how. And so she said, okay, I'll tell you how. I said, no, make a video. So in the family history, my daughter Danielle made the coolest video. So go look for it on her page. If I could figure out a way to share it and send it over, I would, but she hasn't made it shareable yet. It's just for comments so far. And it's literally how you can make butter out of heavy cream. As a matter of fact, she used heavy whipping cream, and I just bought some heavy cream. So I'm going to try to make butter tomorrow, and it's really super easy, so check out her video. It was super cool, super, super cool. Anyways, back to this. So I just love that she made a video too. So here we go. The only Paula Deen pan I own, but I'm going to say Paula Deen because somebody wrote to me, oh, look, the new Paula Deen. And I just thought, oh, well, I'll use my pan today just to get a laugh out of that. So here we go. We're going to start putting it together. Again, I'm the purist. I am the one that loves corn. I like it the old, I don't know, I say that this is the farm style way, but I've looked in farm magazines and they have it with the multiple vegetables, and some people are just like, they like it with beef gravy and beans, and that's like a staple. Those beans that I was showing you earlier, that's like a huge staple. And so I guess it depends on where you are, I don't know. So I start, and this again is hamburger, onions, mushrooms, and you can put whatever you want in there, by the way. Onions, mushrooms, and garlic. Oh, that's why I started talking about Danielle and butter too. Danielle was talking about her butter, and after she made it, she said, you know, you could do like what the restaurants do. You could add a little honey to it when it's done. You can add garlic to it when it's done. You could add is it not rose? It's not rosemary, but it's just, I know I have it down here, the rose flavor. Because I took a Renaissance class years ago, and we had to cook in the Renaissance time. That was the final. We had to have this whole meal in Renaissance. And actual rose oil was one of the items they put in a lot of things back then, because let's face it, there wasn't a lot of way to do food storage and everything back then. So if it had that aromatic rose, everybody thought it was okay, and so they put it in a lot of different items so that it would store better and smell better. So anyways, here we go. So I always use 1 can of oops, the potato's stuck in there. I use 1 can of, and I'm really picky about what I use, even what brand. I am a Del Monte all the way. I mean, I will buy store brand once in a while, but I'm really about my corn. I'm a snob. Like I buy brand name on everything else but corn. Isn't that funny? So I do 1 can of regular corn, and see how big and beautiful those pieces are. And then I always do 2 cans of the cream style. And oh my God, this makes it sweet and light and beautiful. Oh. Yum, yum, yum. So, I don't know if my pan's big enough now. I might have made more than my pan. But I just don't want to use my other pan. Oh, by the way, a plug for, this is the Pioneer Woman. I totally love her. Everything. This is the Pioneer Woman. Her stuff is my favorite. I love it. But see how it all quickly was absorbed, so I always use 2 cans because I like it to have that runniness of sweet, sweet corn. So my secret is 2 to 1, no matter how big you're making it. If you've got a family like Luke and Rebecca with 4 or 5 kids, and you need to make a big pan, then you're going to use 4 of the cream style and 2 of the regular. So, you know, just know that it's a 2 to 1 situation if you're making it with corn. If you're doing the frozen vegetables, just fill it up with, you know, like I say, just make sure you boil them enough to bring them back to this kind of life, because you're not in the oven long enough to be able to bring them back from frozen. So, and now, the last but not least thing we do, and this is so easy, we just add these to the top. And there we go. They just pile them right on. Pile those bad boy potatoes right on there. Seal the edges. If you don't seal the edges, what's going to happen is it's going to, probably still will, because I've got a pan that's not as big as I thought it was going to be. It's going to roll. It's going to go over in your oven. Sometimes I put like a cookie sheet underneath it so it doesn't make my oven dirty. You know, because it's going to drip. The stuff's going to start boiling out because it kind of has to get to a certain temperature. So let's face it, everything in here is already really cooked. Now you're just trying to marry them together. You're not trying to actually cook an entire dish. You're not cooking this from scratch or cooking it from raw meat or anything. So everything in here is basically cooked, but you do need to marry them. And to do that, you still need to get up to a certain temperature. The potatoes, you want them to get them a little stiff, and you want to... So this is going to bubble over the side. There's not much I'm going to be able to do about it. First, because I had it so full. And second, just because it's got to get up to that temperature and work its way. And then, kind of got as fluted as I can here. Kind of make it like a pie, fluted and closed. And then, excuse my fingers here. And then I get my knife out. Whoops, I'll take a quick little drink for you, Lisa. And I just put pads of butter all over, and that's one of the other things that probably runs off in the oven. But I didn't add, you saw that I was pretty generous with the butter when I'm making it, the potatoes, but I really like that visual yellow glow when it comes out of the oven after it's all cooked together. This is only going to need like a half an hour at the most in I used to cook it in 350 and then found out that I needed more time. And some people cook it on 400. I've decided that right darn dab nab in the middle at 375 for about a half an hour is like pretty much the perfect temperature. So there you are, my folks. You're going to put this in the oven, like I say, 375 for about a half an hour. And when it comes out, the potatoes will be stiffer. It'll look like, what it's going to look like is like, if you've ever cooked meringue and it has that hard little top to it, that's what you want. You do not want to cook it till it dries out. So if your oven and for some reason your pan's too small and it's really bubbling over a lot, get it out of there, because then you're losing your liquid and it'll become dry, and nobody wants that. I took the time to put 2 cans of cream corn in there on purpose so it could be a little bit sloppy when you're serving it, and I definitely had all of the butter and stuff on here to make the potatoes stay sloppy. So you're sort of going to have it be a little bit of a hard topping like meringue. That's what you're looking for, nothing more. No dried out, no anything. So 375 for about 45 minutes, for about a half an hour, and you're good. So there, tomorrow night is Tim Kaine birthday cake night. Unless you guys have a passion for another kind, and today's the time to tell me if you have a passion for another flavor. Tomorrow we're going to make chocolate and put that maple frosting on there. Until then, see you tomorrow.